Good Monday morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, Monday morning. I'm already losing my mind, and it's only Monday. Monday afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in to the PWTorch Fireside Chat. I'm PWTorch Assistant Editor Zack Heydorn. It is a pleasure to be here. Thank you guys for being with us. Potentially a lot to cover here, depending on how long we want to go for. But a busy weekend in wrestling and a busy week and a busy Monday night on the way to WrestleMania, which is going to make for a busy, busy month. But I'm glad you're here. To everybody who's joining us in the chat right now, Steven and Tracy and everybody else, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for joining us today. If you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button. It helps us out a lot. Today, we are here, and I want to discuss Monday Night Raw. We've been AEW heavy here on the old YouTube channel over the weekend, since that was the news of the week. And so I don't want to take that topic off the table. So if you want to talk anything AEW Revolution, please do so. A new episode of Shooting the Breeze is up on the YouTube channel right now, and you can check that out for a full kind of recap of AEW Revolution. But we're here to discuss wrestling. So drop your comments in the comment section about AEW Revolution last night or Monday Night Raw tonight. I thought the pay-per-view last night was really, really good for a multitude of reasons. Obviously, that main event is going to and should stick out in everybody's head as something that's not only memorable for last night, but memorable, I think, for AEW, because I think that was the best world championship match that the company has had since it started, really. I mean, and it's had some big world title matches. So I realized that might be a bit of a a bit of a stretch in terms of analyzing the match. But I thought it was just a great match. I thought more so than like the moves themselves and like the physicality and the violence and the submissions and all that, spots. Like that was all great. But to me, the body language and facial expressions of both MJF and Danielson really stole the show. I think that they took a match that from from the perspective of it just being a solid match from an Iron Man standpoint, and they just turned the volume up and blew it out of the water because of the emotion and kind of like just raw kind of attention to detail that they had throughout the match. I thought it was just really, really cool and really, really awesome. Really good match. So drop your comments in there about AEW Revolution if you want to talk that, and we will get to Raw here in a minute. I think it is the best Iron Man match of all time. I don't really know. An abundance of strong Iron Man matches are not like jumping out at me. I think generally speaking, I'm not as high on them than others might be. I mean, there's some good matches out there. I like Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart more than others seem to, especially as that match has aged throughout the years. But outside of that, I mean, I think Triple H and He Who Should Not Be Named had a good one. That's going to kind of fade into obscurity, and it should. And so outside of that, there's just not a lot. I mean, I know Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle had one that was solid, but not to this level. And so, yeah, I think it's a pretty easy call, honestly, that this is the best Iron Man match. And Iron Man matches, and I talked about this on Shooting the Breeze, Iron Man matches, they come with a batch of contrivances that you really need to turn on if you're going to do the match right. And I think that's the problem with them in a lot of ways. However, in this instance, I thought the match was dramatic enough and had enough emotion behind it that it just worked, and it made the contrivances worth it. So yeah, I thought it was an excellent main event. So let's see. Sean, thanks for joining us. Steven, thanks for joining us. Two pins from a low blow. Yeah, that's one of those contrivances that I'm talking about. I mean, you could argue that point both ways. One, low blows cause pinfalls all the time. right? I mean, they do. And so you're just kind of selling it one step further here by it being, back to back to back. So, but the other way you could argue it is just, do something else. So I get why you could be potentially frustrated with that. Yeah, Tracy, it was nice seeing Mark Briscoe team with the Lucha Brothers. I think that's it was just kind of a nice moment. It was really good to see Mark on that card. Mark Briscoe, I don't know how many of you guys caught the Ring of Honor show last week, but I thought he was one of the more, he was just a standout guy on that show. And he just seems like he's operating kind of just on this other level. And he's always been such a talent, and you factor in what happened to him and his family. It's just such a sad thing, but I like watching him out there. He feels like comfortable a little bit at home. I think it's really nice to see him out there. Dr. Ross, hello. Okay. Oh, and a big win for House of Black. I want to comment on this too very quickly. That was a smart booking decision. And you can hear more analysis on this on Shooting the Breeze. Again, it's up on the YouTube channel right now. But the trios titles have hurt AEW. Can we all agree on that? I'm looking at you, chat. Yes. I think they have hurt AEW, the tag team division in particular. So those trios championships around the waists of the Elite really, I don't think did anything for the Elite, right? They kind of were just there. I don't think the Elite did a very good job establishing them. But either way, those belts on the Elite, we're not doing anything. They don't do much for House of Black, but I think they do more for House of Black than they do for the Elite. And so maybe that's something. Am I grasping at straws? I suppose I could be. But to me, that's the way to go. Now Kenny Omega's freed up to do something that he wants to do, something more impactful. Same with the Young Bucks. Maybe can Kenny Omega challenge MJF for the world title? I think that could happen. I think that's a reasonable match to build to. We'll see, but he can't really do it when he's in the trios division. And now, now he doesn't have to worry about that. And so that was the right call. And the match was what it was. Some people are going to love it. The audience certainly did. Other people are going to not love it. And it's that kind of a polarizing match, plain and simple. Okay, let's get to Monday Night Raw. I want to preview that. We'll switch gears here to WWE. A big night on Raw this week. It's we got quite a bit going on. First and foremost, the return of John Cena. John Cena will be back on Raw. We don't know exactly what he's doing yet as far as what WWE is promoting for him tonight. That has not been discussed at this or not been revealed at this juncture. And so even though we don't know, we kind of know, right? We kind of know that John Cena is there, and a feud with Austin Theory, I think, is going to start tonight. We've heard Austin Theory talk a lot about John Cena, about not getting respect, about John Cena getting the spotlight. And so, it makes perfect sense that he's there tonight to build that match. With John Cena, you don't know which John Cena you're really going to get. Are you going to get the John Cena who's there to do business? Are you going to get the John Cena who's there to kind of almost make a joke of his appearance? Not physical appearance, but his appearance on the show, or somewhere in between. But they need John Cena to be there to do business starting tonight if the match with Austin Theory is going to happen. What you don't want is Austin Theory to end up beating a John Cena at WrestleMania that, kind of turned off his charisma and star power on his own. That kind of, it sacrifices the Cena investment that WWE is making for this year's WrestleMania. And really, it just doesn't help the Cena brand if he wants to come back to WWE at some point after this. And it certainly doesn't help Austin Theory, who's looking to get a major rub out of this major feud with this kind of legendary star that's coming back. But in order for that to work, Cena has to be serious Cena. He has to be, more like the old John Cena. And I don't necessarily mean thugonomics John Cena. Excuse me. But I mean just somebody who's ready to work, and is invested in theory and his role. So we'll see what happens, but it's a big night either way because John Cena just doesn't show up on Raw very often, and he doesn't show up in WWE very often. So this is big. And on the flip side, looking at Austin Theory, if he has to show up in this moment with Cena. Like, this is a huge opportunity for him to take the next level, the next step up, if you will, and to get to the next level. And if Cena's going to come back and put him over and treat this thing seriously, you need an Austin Theory who comes out of the gate ready to go, and ready to kind of own that spot. So it's a big night. It's a big night for both those guys, and it's a big night for this feud. I expect tonight for them to kick this off, right out of the gate, and to just start building this match. Cena is not going to be appearing on Raw every single week to build this, I would imagine. I'm sure you will get, I don't know, a video package perhaps down the road, or some kind of maybe split screen interview between both guys, because Cena's got movie commitments. So he's not going to be there very often. And when he's there live, they have to hit a home run. And so that's on tap tonight for Theory and for Cena. So I'm excited to see what they do. Is anybody in the chat expecting them to go a completely different direction? And have Cena involved in something else at WrestleMania? I mean, I don't know. Yes, from a fantasy booking perspective, you can look at it and go, okay, what if Cena did this, or what if Cena did that? But I don't know that you could look at the breadcrumbs that WWE has left up to this point and say, well, okay, they're going a different direction. I think it'd be more of like a wish than anything else. But Austin Theory seems to be the play. And I think it's a smart play. And it's a smart way to go to get Theory a little more of that marquee level experience, especially as a heel. I think it works, very, very well. It's a smart feud for both those guys to have at this point in each of their careers. Sean's agreeing with me with a big no. Where does he go? LOL. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, where does he go? That's not clear. And so I think there's no reason to avoid the obvious here. You just go the direction you're going. And that's the smart way. Okay. Also tonight we've got two big singles matches and one decent sized singles match. We've got Bianca Belair against Carmella. Guys, this is what it is. I mean, I think unfortunately this is going to be the type of build that Bianca Belair versus Asuka at WrestleMania is going to get. It's going to be more of that paint by numbers. They're both baby faces. They both don't like the heels of Raw, and they're both getting kind of, badgered by heel Carmella. So they're both going to take her out. My guess is down the road, they're going to team together, and it's going to be, can they coexist? The old can they coexist storyline for pro wrestling and for WWE. So, I mean, that's what this is. And so Bianca's going to win here for sure. She's going to go over. Hopefully it's in, pretty decisive fashion, as Sean just pointed out in the chat here. I mean, it has to be quick. It has to be quick. And I think you've got to get some face-to-face with Asuka and Belair, and then move on to next week where, it looks like Chelsea Green perhaps and Carmella might be on the verge of tagging with one another. That could be a way to continue this on. But it's tough. It's tough because, Asuka hasn't been given any opportunities to cut promos. And because she's not given that opportunity, it's hard to build a feud one-sided in that way on the microphone. So you have to figure out other ways to do it. And the fact is there's just not that many other ways to do it. And this is a WWE crutch. I think once this gets in the ring at WrestleMania, it can be a very good match. Very good match. But the build, I think, is going to be paint by numbers. And Carmella versus Bianca Belair tonight is an example of that. It's a chapter. It's a chapter in what will be their story here. So it is what it is, as they say. It is what it is. Bianca Belair certainly will be going over. Will be going over strong here for sure. I think that's all but a given at this point. And then we move on to two other singles matches, and I think there's a lot in the air for these two matches tonight. You have Sami Zayn versus Jimmy Uso, and you have Kevin Owens versus Solo Sikoa. Basically, Zayn and Owens against the Bloodline, although not together. The question, I think, is will they end up together by the end of the show tonight? Because I think there's four Monday Night Raws left before WrestleMania. Somebody correct me on that. I may be wrong. I don't have the calendar up in front of me, but I believe it's 4. And so if it's 4, you don't have that much time to build that tag team match if you wait another week, right? Because you want to have some weeks of build where it's Sammy and Kevin on the same side against Jimmy and Jay. Tonight seemingly would be a time that you'd look at, given what they have booked, to go, okay, here's where they pull the trigger. Here's where they pull the trigger, because you have everybody involved in something. Owens is out there against the Bloodline. Sammy's out there against the Bloodline. You have Roman Reigns kind of laying down the gauntlet for Jimmy on SmackDown, saying, hey, if you don't bring Jay back into the fold, it's going to be on you. So the stars, I think, have aligned for something to go down tonight on the show. I think we're going to get an appearance from Jey Uso. It could be. I mean, maybe it's something where it's like a reverse type angle where Sammy is going to just lay out Jimmy, and Jay comes to the aid of Jimmy, just like Jay did for Sammy, at the Royal Rumble, because that's something that can happen. I don't know. It's intriguing, but they do have to move things along, as Sean mentioned. They have to get rolling, and so here's the other thing to factor in. They essentially have a sold out crowd tonight in Boston. I mean, the Cena thing really put them over the top. I think there's per WrestleTix, I think there's 70 tickets left, maybe 71 tickets left or something like that. And again, follow WrestleTix on Twitter to get kind of that up to date information. But they have a sold out building. They're in a major market. Not that you have to be in a major market for these kinds of angles, but that building's going to be hot. I mean, it's got Cena. So you're going to have a lot of eyes on the show, more so than usual, I'd imagine. So between a hot crowd in the building, more viewers at home, if you pull the trigger tonight and do Sammy and Kevin, and it works, that could be hooking people in to that story, and therefore to WWE programming from now until WrestleMania more consistently, because if people are buying in to what they sell in this angle. And so there's opportunity for added eyeballs here as well. It's going to be fun. I think when they pull this trigger, it's going to be a really cool moment. And again, it seems to me that the stars have aligned a bit, to make this happen on this show. So I'm gonna predict that they're gonna pull the trigger here and go for it in some form or fashion, where even if it's kind of a tentative handshake thing with Sami Zayn, that they're on the same side and the Usos are on the same side. And so we can move on now to whatever the next chapter is going to be between those four. But I think we definitely, I think we're going to get something. I think we're going to get it, and it's cool. I mean, it's interesting that I don't know. On one hand, is anybody a little bummed that it is going to happen soon? I mean, you're going to get a major angle that's going to be really memorable, and that's going to build to a major match at WrestleMania for the tag team titles. But then after WrestleMania, like this part of the bloodline story is essentially over, and it's been such a driver of intrigue for WWE and fan interest. It's brought ratings back, up ratings and up viewership year over year, and a lot to talk about on shows like this one with you guys. So it's like it's like, I mean, I want to see the next chapter, and you can't ride a story like this forever. I mean, talk to Eric Bischoff about that in the NWO. See what he has to say if he doesn't make a million excuses first. But you can't do these things forever, and so they do have to come to an end. And so you might as well pull the trigger here. I totally go with that, but it is kind of sad that like this story, this great story, is going to be kind of coming to an end here soon, and that's tough. Finally, speaking of the bloodline, Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes on SmackDown, pretty big face-to-face segment. To me, it was been more polarizing of a segment than I thought it would be. So I'm curious as to everybody's thoughts that are watching us live, like what you thought of this. But I thought it was a really good promo segment, and I thought that Cody was on Roman Reigns' level as much as he could be, given the circumstances. You've got this 900 plus day champion. I mean, in a way, he needs to be like kind of like the bigger alpha in the ring. He has to be presented as that, and he has to kind of carry himself that way because you want it to seem like dethroning him is a humongous triumph for Cody. And so you have to sacrifice that a little bit in that moment to make Cody look a little bit smaller, a little bit more sympathetic, and Roman a little bit bigger and a little, in a little more tough. So, and I think they drew those lines efficiently, where you didn't have Cody he didn't wilt, he didn't like put on a weak performance. I mean, he stood there toe to toe, face to face, took kind of the demeaning comments that Roman Reigns had and moved on, and I think that's look, we got 4 weeks left to go. So you want to see growth here. You want to see Cody get stronger and stronger and stronger and then beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania if that's the story that they're telling. And so this was not to me Cody Rhodes not living up to the moment or to the spotlight. It was purposeful, where you're not going to have Cody cut this babyface go home promo with 4 weeks to go opposite Roman Reigns. Like, it's not time for that yet. And so when you do that, Cody being a little bit more passive, he's selling for Roman, not in a physical sense, but he's selling for Roman and Roman's presence and Roman's championship reign, and therefore putting Roman over and that championship reign over, so that when he dethrones it, it matters. It matters a lot. And so to me, I thought it was just perfect in that regard, and not anything else other than that. Tonight on Raw, we need some follow-up. We need Cody to get on the microphone and talk about the story more. I think the matches with him are working. I think him being kind of this fighting champion to keep his skills like tuned up is a good way to keep the crowd on his side and keep that momentum of his going and keep him on television. I'd like for him to not take 12 minutes to beat Baron Corbin or Chad Gable or something like that. But alas, I think the bigger picture, him in the ring, works. So I think we should see more development in that story coming out of Friday. But I just wanted to point out that that segment did what it was supposed to do, not else. I mean, I get the feeling, and somebody call me out if I'm wrong here, but my perception is it was some folks out there that maybe wanted to see Cody wilt in that spot, and so we're looking for reasons to see him wilt, even though that was exactly what was supposed to happen. So that's my take. That's my take. Argue with me. I am here. I'm here for the discussion. Of course, you guys all you guys all know that. You all know that. And last but not least, I wonder. We have to think about there isn't anything booked tonight per se for the for the Edge and Finn Balor story, but that's going to get some kind of definitive conclusion here too in terms of where they're going for WrestleMania. Edge versus Finn Balor is all but a lock. The Judgment Day continues to be a solid middle of the card type act for the show. I'm sure they're going to be all over the show this week. Rhea Ripley. Hopefully, she gets some FaceTime on her own show in the lead up to WrestleMania. This has to they have to get that rolling a little bit. I don't want that to stagnate. And so another big night for the Judgment Day tonight, and they continue to hold down the fort on Monday Night Raw. Though this, Logan Paul and Seth. How could I forget? Thank you, Azan. Logan Paul and Seth. Who's ready to see Logan Paul tonight? I actually am. I'm looking forward to this segment. I'll be honest. I don't think that the story. If there's somebody that can make this story like worthwhile, it's Seth Rollins. Because when I hear Seth Rollins talk about not appreciating the business or the easy path to WWE and that whole narrative that he's spun on social media on his own outside of storyline many times. To me, he's a good face of that story, because it's believable. I mean, I think it's really believable when he talks about that, when he talks about that kind of thing. And Seth's a full-on babyface at this point, and he's playing into it. Nothing wishy-washy there. Finally, Logan Paul is playing the heel role he was born to play. It hurts my brain because Logan Paul has made millions of dollars essentially playing the role of a wrestling heel just in the real world, in real life. Some of what he does out there is gimmick. I mean, we can all admit this to ourselves, right? We can all admit this. And then he comes to WWE where all he has to do is be that exact character again, and he scraps it to be some kind of like superhero babyface. It's like, man, you are tone deaf to the nth degree, my friend. But this should be fun. I mean, I think both those guys have a personality. Both Seth and Logan Paul have charisma. To me, that's a suitable match for WrestleMania, and I think that Seth can get everything out of Logan Paul in the ring, and I think he can showcase his babyface talent there too. So this is good. I'm excited to see what this is. Whew. Gosh, thanks, Azad, for calling me out on that. Appreciate the the reminder. All right, I want to get to this Dusty Rhodes stuff because I think I disagree with you guys on this. Mashup Dad jumping in. If Cody mentions his dad once more, people will turn on him hard. Okay. Yes, they have to be careful with this. They do. I mean, I think you save that verbiage for the right spots at this point. It can't be something that he constantly leans on in promos. Like, I think he's done a nice job setting the table with that, right? When he came back, he's going to win the title his dad never won. All right. He was around, he kind of stopped with it post WrestleMania, last year, and then he was gone. And now he came back and he won the Royal Rumble, and he's still kind of declaring what he's going to do. But here's the thing. Yes, he has to stop kind of constantly mentioning it. I think you're right. I mean, that can get old quick, but I don't think just because he brings it up, to me, that doesn't mean that Dusty is the focus of the whole feud, because I mean, he is a part of the whole feud. I mean, he is. I mean, the whole kind of arc for Cody Rhodes right now is chasing down and winning the title his dad never won. So his dad is going to be a part of that. Plus, you have Roman Reigns on the other side of the ring, who his dad was heavily involved with in making him into the big star that we see today. So, I mean, those wires are naturally going to cross each other. And I disagree with the notion that it's just the Dusty's the focus, because he's a part of it, but through Cody's eyes and through Cody's mission and through Cody's endeavor for the world title. And that's to me, that's different. You still can't talk about it all the time. You still have to put it out there as, hey, I'm still doing this for me too. And I'm doing this for you guys too. And I'm doing this to take down the bloodline. I'm doing this to take down Roman Reigns. That all has to be part of the narrative for sure, I think. So we'll see. But yeah, he has got to be careful. And he does for sure have to stop with the "so what do you guys want to talk about" thing. That, oh my God, that makes my blood boil. That's like the worst way to start a promo as a baby face. It's not funny. It's not cute. It's not any of those things. It's just not a good thing. Not a good thing. So there's that. All right, let's go down to the chat here before we ride off into the sunset. Let's see here. We're talking Jade Cargill and FTR. Bryant, I'm happy to see FTR is staying with AEW as well, but I'm not. I mean, I don't think there's any reason at this point to be, have a positive outlook as to what FTR's role is going to be in AEW moving forward. I mean, they were scorching hot this summer, and Tony Khan decided to do nothing with them. I'll never understand that point. I'll never understand that idea. I'll never understand why you wouldn't go with that, especially when you want your company to be a focus on tag team wrestling. So, like, I don't trust that they're going to get it right on this. Like, we'll see. And I think they're a better fit in AEW just long term because of WWE's history with tag teams. But man, I don't know that you can be overly excited because of what AEW has done with them in the past. And so, I hope you're right, Brian. I hope you're right. Jade Cargill, it's disappointing that she wasn't on the card last night. And it's disappointing, I think, that she's on the side of like on the outside of this major women's feud that's going on, of like the AEW OGs of the women's division, and Jade Cargill's not there. She's not around. I mean, they still have time to bring her into the fold. So, time is on the side of AEW. But man, you got to start bringing her in to, like, you gotta to bring her into the fold of regularity on this, in terms of being a part of the actual women's division and not this pseudo thing that happens on AEW Rampage. Maybe this feud, OGs versus the outsiders in the women's division, is the way to do that. I don't know, but she does need to be a part of that. Brian, I'm going to disagree with you on this one, man. Bret Hart in his prime couldn't help Jade. I mean, Jade Cargill has come a long way in AEW since she debuted. And more importantly than that, and that's from an in-ring perspective, more importantly than that, Brian, to me, Jade Cargill is heads and above the rest of the women in the AEW women's division. And that's because of her star power and her charisma and the way she carries herself. You have people in the AEW women's division who can wrestle very well in the ring, but don't have that kind of aura of star power. Like, you just don't have that. And more than anything, AEW needs Jade Cargill's of the world to be on their show, and less people that are just good wrestlers. There's a lot of good wrestling out there. and I say it all the time on this show, there is a ton of good wrestling out there, but there's not always there's not always big stars out there. And so Jade Cargill is that. She's turned herself into that. Her title reign, I think, is meaningful in that she's unbeaten, but it lives in TBS land world. It's got to be brought back into that AEW World Championship fold for it to really, to me, in my opinion, for it to really take hold, to really take hold and to be something that matters, 10, 15, 20 years from now. But Jade Cargill has a high ceiling still. And I see, I don't think that's it either, because I wish she was on the card, Brian, but I don't, if she doesn't have anything to do, then it's good that she wasn't. Darby Allin wasn't on the card. Sting wasn't on the card. FTR wasn't on the card. Like a lot of top stars weren't on the card. I just wish she was, because I think she is a big star, and I think she needs reps too. But she's a big star, and so I don't think you can argue at that point. She just is going to be a key part of the women's division for a long time in AEW, unless WWE makes an offer. And I don't think you can put that out of the realm of possibility either. I mean, she is perfect for WWE. I mean, she is that will be a get for WWE if they pull the trigger on that. So I mean, Brian, I don't mean to keep picking on you, man, but a lot of times the Young Bucks and the Elite hemorrhage viewers too, in their slots. You can't just look at it look at it that way. And I'm up for an argument, Brian. You know it for sure. But you guys got to keep the old chat here. We're not picking on one another. Everybody's got the opportunity to voice their opinions, even though it might get a little rowdy at times, which nothing wrong with that. But keep it civil, folks. Keep it civil. Oh, you guys rule. All right. That's it, guys. Steven, I might stop watching WWE if they sign Jade. Come on, man. Give Jade and WWE a chance. I don't know. I don't think that I'm in the in the minority of people here that think that Jade Cargill is on, another level in terms of the women in AEW. I don't think that that's like a kind of a strange opinion to have at this point. So, Steven, give her a chance. Give her a chance, my friend. All right, you guys, a blast here as usual. I do appreciate it. I appreciate the time. I appreciate the back and forth. Everybody, his opinion will be heard on here as long as it's reasonable and polite. So I appreciate everybody doing that and being a part of that and making the show fun from that perspective. So Bryant, Sean, Steven, everybody else, make sure you come on back. We got lots to discuss these next few weeks and after that, as far as AEW goes and as far as WWE goes. So I do appreciate you guys being here. Appreciate the back and forth, of course. We'll have Raw covered for you on PWTorch.com all night long, Wade's report, as well as all our alternative perspective Raw report on everything John Cena. Make sure you keep it locked to the channel the rest of this week. And we will be live tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. All different shows. NXT shows. We got a big NXT show this week. The Roadblock special, that's tomorrow. So we will do something around that. Wednesday's Dynamite Day. Thursday's our flagship, and Friday we'll preview SmackDown. So definitely keep it locked here. Subscribe, like the channel, and also hit that notification button so you know when we go live. There's a brand new Shooting the Breeze up on the channel too for you guys to check out if you want more in-depth analysis and review of AEW Revolution from Sunday night. So you can check that out as well. Thank you so much to everybody who joined us live. I appreciate it. To everybody watching after the fact, thank you. We'll talk to you guys next time. See ya.